All right. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ahlihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Assalamu alaikum, everyone.
Wa alaikum assalam.
My name is Bas Bahori on behalf of the other Georgia Muslim Chamber of Commerce officers and the volunteers. I want to welcome everyone to the first of what we hope to be a series of guest speakers that we're going to be talking about various important subjects that as Muslims we may face or we need to know about as we grow professionally and in our businesses. And I also want to thank Brother Daniel for the background wizardry and video management and things like that. So hopefully, you can share this link with people that can benefit from it. We also drop the link to the YouTube channel that this is being broadcast to as well. And we had a lot of different thoughts about where we wanted to start with this series. And given that it was Ramadan, we felt that we needed an angle of spirituality to be imbued in the first lecture that we started. And in our mind, there's no better person to talk about this subject other than Brother Amjad Taufique. He not only is a successful business person and worked in a major corporation before, like most of us have, but mashallah, he has also successfully launched and run 2 or 3 mosques that I know of. And I've known him for a little bit over 20 years now, alhamdulillah. And we felt that he would be the ideal speaker to tell us his thoughts, his experience with the importance of keeping spirituality in mind when we're making decisions as entrepreneurs. So I'm going to turn it over to him now. Please mute yourself, and then we're going to but turn your cameras on. We will, time allowing, take questions. If you have questions for Brother Amjad as he's speaking, do drop them in the chat, and inshallah we'll get to them towards the end of it. But with that in mind, Brother Amjad, please take it away.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Jazakallah khair, Basim, and the Georgia Muslim Chamber of Commerce team. It's been such a, I know when you guys started and I got the invitation, I remember the first one that I missed 2 meetings. But then when I came to the third one, I said, wow, this is mashallah, a really excellent start where I think it will be a good opportunity for us to have networking and learning ability for all of us. So thank you very much for doing that. So, أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. So alhamdulillah, journey for the community service and social service began long time ago. May Allah have mercy of on the soul of my mom. She was the catalyst in that arena where she would always be out there to see what is the opportunity to help anyone and anybody. And that's where I kind of, picking from her, learned. And then my brothers around, my sisters around in the same journey were always, out there to see what we can do to help others. And alhamdulillah has always been, when you help your others, Allah turns around and helps you in your affairs. And that has been my, observation throughout my life, that people have come out from nowhere and jumped in and helped say, oh, what can I do for you? One of the examples was the business that I am in right now. Just having the friendship with Brother Javed Naeem, when we were going to school together and just knowing each other. And from there, in 2015, he comes get together with me and forces me, no, let's start a business. And then not only recommends for me to start a business, but jumps in and say, okay, let's work together and start a business. And alhamdulillah, his experience, his expertise, his help grew the business tremendously where we are, alhamdulillah. And I thank Allah and I thank him for that opportunity. But one of the things that, when you, Brother Basim, raise any red flags if I'm going too long or anything, please. I'm not monitoring the time. So,
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
okay. The area where you come in, because I used to live in Texas, in Houston. I was in the area where uh, in the we had a business over there, but not a very successful business. But alhamdulillah, gave us an opportunity to meet with a lot of folks over there, and that build up over there with how the sadaqah zakat could be collected or help the masjid around us to distribute that because we came to know people who were in the need. So that kind of thing. When I moved to Atlanta in 1989, and I was looking for a place, I had a job in Smyrna area. So looking for a place in close to there where I could be part of a masjid. So alhamdulillah, found very small masjid at that time. There were, only few around at that time. And from there, just kind of became involved with the masjid. And then having the family and having kids started to make me realize more and more that it's important for us to build communities around us, because our kids are in an environment that we could pretty easily lose them. And so to me, that became very important, that what can we do to build up for our kids an environment where they come and they have the ability, because at that time, Islamic schools were not most common, and Darul Noor became a part of our life, but still, so we started to work in that arena where we can build the communities around us. Let's bring the families together and maybe have a small halakha, but more of a activity for the family. And that grew up into the ability that, okay, now we are in a small rental place, how to move to a more bigger place, and then more bigger place, and one from the other to the other. Alhamdulillah, in 94, I believe, or 96, we purchased over here Masjid Hidayah land. And then since then, it's been just a journey to build the community, to work around. And alhamdulillah, when I look at around us now, 8 masajid in Cobb County, kind of they all sprung out of where we were, and the community grew and the need grew, and we have more mashallah need for bigger places. And I remember when one of the masjid was about to be being they were trying to rent a place, and the city was giving them a lot of hard time. So I got involved and I said, let's work together. Got a few other brothers involved who had the expertise in that arena. One of them, Brother Amir, who's mashallah helping many other massages in many other ways. And we fought the city and did whatever we could, and we came out together, and alhamdulillah. So I remember one comment one of the brothers in our masjid made, that masjid is not too far from us. I mean, if we are helping them coming up, we're going to be losing people from us and the financial. And I said, that shouldn't be the objective, because all of that is taken care by Allah. We are just the source. And now if you look at that masjid is full, we are full, other masajids are full. So growing with that community, alhamdulillah, mentality of that community building has helped us. And so in 2015, for me, was the turning point. I graduated in computer science, worked in the corporate field, in the computer science fields, in the IT. And then in 2015, just took a jump into a totally different arena. And again, thanks to Javed pulling me in that and said, no, we can do it together. And somebody asked me that, where do you get the construction experience? And I said, well, when you work with so many masajid and they're building and they're renovating and they're, hiring handymans or construction people. So you kind of start to learn things, that it is. And then, it was a lot of learning throughout my construction career, and constantly learning the business aspect of it. Even though they say that those who are from India, Pakistan may know Memon community, and we are supposed to be really good in business, and I was not one of them. My mother, may have mercy on her soul, she always told us that you guys stay away. You guys cannot run businesses. But I think Javed jumped in and helped to get that business to where we are, and helped bringing people around us who also feel like that doing the right thing is important. In business, it's very easy to kind of lose that importance, that, okay, well, we can do a little bit here, or that's okay to not inform the customer of this. But one of the things that I really truly learned from Javed in that arena was, and another partner, Kamran, I don't know if he's here or not, but I don't know if Javed is online or not, but learn from them that, literally honesty is the best policy. If we are to do the things in the right ways, Allah will create business for us. If we lose a business because somebody didn't think that we should do it this way, but we stuck our points and no, this is inshallah better for us, better for you, no problem. Allah open other doors and other businesses come through. And then, we build up the team around us. I see Jabril is online. I see Bertram is online. And building that team around us that who are in that mode of that, let's not do things that are not going to be setting well with us, setting well with our customer, keeping that honesty is the best policy in mind, keeping that, giving the right advice to your customer, and doing the best, knowing that will open up the doors for you to get business and flourish in many ways that you may not realize. So alhamdulillah, that, and then constantly in a learning mode. How can you improve yourself? How can you improve yourself in a ways where you as a person growing, and at the same time, you as a business leader helping others around you grow. Always kind of keeping that in mind that, the employees who are working with you right now, you being a small business may not be able to provide the these benefits that you would want to, but what can you do to inshallah improve the business in a ways where you are able to provide those benefits for your team. When you coming from the background of having just a job, kind of 9 to 5, weekends to yourself and your family, and you are always involved with the either masjid or ikna or something to doing the work of khair, and you then start the business, and then now you are like, are totally consumed, and you start to see that, wow, I cannot be spending time more in that. But then remember one of our meetings that with Javed and Kamran, and just hearing this from these guys, well, think about it, that you're building this business where you are benefiting, your family is benefiting, and all those you're hiring and employing, and they are growing, and you can see their success, you can see them flourishing as well. So that is a work of khair as well. And hoping that, and true story, one of our employees worked with us for about 3 years and moved on to work for himself now, and doing well. So you feel that good that, okay, you help somebody getting into that position where they really didn't have this sense of business or this knowledge of this, but over the period of 3 years, they worked with you, they learned, and they felt that now they are able and capable of doing something for themselves out there. So that is a very satisfying feeling, and it always helps you to sleep better at night. It helps you that, okay, yes, business is there, business challenges are tremendous. And I know many of you guys are business owners over here, so you know what happens if your cash flow is not there, and your credit card bills are not paid in time, so you don't build up any interest on them. So those are there. But working with the team that I'm working with, alhamdulillah, it's been a really tremendous last 8 years or so, that I've learned so much with people around me on a constant basis, that how we can continue to help ourselves while still doing. Now, alhamdulillah, business get to that point where I'm still able to put a little bit more time in the masjid activities, and in that arena as well. The masjid now, we were able to build up such a large number of volunteers that it feels so good in Ramadan now, that you walk in 5 minutes before iftar time and you go and sit down, and you don't have to worry about who's arranging the food. Is it all there, and is it everything has been taken care or not? You just get there, and alhamdulillah, these volunteers have already set up the table for you, and you are sitting there and enjoying the meal after your salah and all that. So you feel that, okay, that's an accomplishment, that you've created such a large team of volunteers who are now doing the good that they are doing, and they're passing on to others to learn how to continue to help in the our community environment. So alhamdulillah, that's been a tremendous experience for me. I think I've spoken all good about myself now. Basim, I'll hand it over back to
So,
you.
yeah, so I think what everybody wants to hear is maybe examples of how you give advice or how you embody all these. Don't worry about the questions. We'll assemble all the
Okay.
questions at the end. I just want to encourage everybody to drop their questions into the chat, and then towards the end, inshallah, we'll go through them if we haven't answered them already. But I wanted to replay 4 important points that I think you made with your experience from a masjid that I think are very relevant to starting a business out there. One is it's okay to start small. It's okay to rent. It's okay to then build up and then build. And to me, that resonates as a business owner, that you don't have to have all the answers to get started. You don't have to have, the fancy office and things like that. You can start small. There's an expression about, businesses started in garages, that you hear examples of that all the time. And I think that's a sound, at the beginning, it's a sound business plan. You also spoke about the importance of family, that motivated you to create that community and to give back. And this is one of the motivations for starting the chamber, is to give something to the future generations, inshallah, to continue to build wealth by not having to reinvent the wheel all the time, and to give the next generation something that's not as it's still important, I think, to uh, share the knowledge that many people have in the chamber and around the chamber, to up and coming young people, or even having a cascading effect of knowledge throughout our community, so we can build strength and wealth faster. You also mentioned about the importance of teams. I think that's also tremendously important. You talked about the teams, the masjid, and I think building the team makes it easier for you to stick to honesty being the best policy kind of things, right? If you have team members that don't prescribe to that very basic tenet of running a business, then you're going to have tension. So it's very important, I think, both in life and in business and in the mosque, to have dedicated volunteers that toe the line and make sure that things are done according to the best way that to full ihsan, inshallah. So switching gears a little bit, would love to hear from you about either issues that you've had with meetings that you were invited to, but they were happening in around drinks or in an environment that's really you didn't feel being part of, or people who just wanted a much more return on their investment, or cutting corners and things like that. You sort of touched on that a little bit. You said maybe you lose business because of doing stuff like that. Would love to hear your perspective on more of the long term, more of the importance of sticking to the Islamic values and the Islamic ways of doing that, even though it may hurt a little bit at the beginning. It's still the right thing to do. And how do you motivate yourself, or how do you motivate others to surely do that?
It's a kind of, if you get people around you who have the same values, it becomes much easier to be able to continue to do that. So if you feel like, in the long term, your goals are to be more successful, not only in this world, but the next one, one of the things that I've always kind of, I've been frowned upon saying that also, that I feel like Islam is a very selfish religion. And when I said that, one brother was like, what? I'm like, everything we do is basically for ourselves. When you work in the masjid environment and you want to take care of the masjid, or you want to go out and clean the grounds of the masjid, you're not doing that just because if you're doing it on a Saturday morning at 10 o'clock in the morning, nobody's watching you to do that. But you're doing it because you know that the bigger thing of that is the greater reward that I will get, that I'm cleaning the masjid. Or you're building something where the kids are, you're not building it just for your own children, but you know that every other child in the community will benefit from that as well. So it's a very, personal thing when you do these good things. Same thing comes into this play of the business as well, that when you do things in where others are benefiting, yes, but at the same time, when they call upon you and say, thank you very much, we really love the work that you did, or you guys did it, and then you make you feel that, alhamdulillah, you were able to satisfy somebody, and you were able to help them in their need of renovations that they had. So it's not just that you're carrying this for yourself more than anybody else. And when they leave you, good review, you feel good about it, because yes, alhamdulillah, you were able to help. And now, initially when we started the business, we had more Muslim customers than any other faith. But now, alhamdulillah, we have of all faiths. And that makes it even more important to provide the best of your behavior and abilities and the conduct, to let them know that this is how we Muslims operate. It becomes very important when a customer wants to build a restaurant, but their main business is alcohol. And you see such a good opportunity, you have the experience to build up that restaurant, and you can do it. And then you back off and you say, I don't think that I would be able to take this project. Even though that's a good, profitable project that you can do, and you have the ability and capacity to do it, but you back off from there because the team around you is like, really, you think that we should go into this? And he's, I think you should pass on it. Yeah, that's better. So that's a long term, and you build up team around yourself. One of the things that uh, Javed initiated in the business for many years now, to bring in young folks as interns and help them kind of whatever career path that you are looking for. One young man who interned with Javed for a while, and he wants to go into law. Well, law much doesn't seems to have any relationship much with the construction and renovations field. But what happened that he started to work on the contracts with Javed and how to put this down. And during that process is a ability to, okay, let's not do it this way, or let's do it this way. And putting them some teaching moments over there that the young brother or sister is picking up on things that when they go out. And now this young brother has been volunteering with Care Georgia for many years and doing an excellent job over there. So I saw him at the gala over there with the Care. And I said, mashallah, look at him, coming in from high school, just, a few hours of internship helped him, get into something field that he's really enjoying and serving more of a community. So you continuously work with the youngsters, those who, are, and alhamdulillah, we've had many young men and women both who have come in from all faiths, not just Muslims, who have stayed with us, learned few things, moved on, and doing things much far better than what they were here. That kind of a help to provide and is very satisfying. Again, to constantly taking the opportunity to see how we can help. And even when you bring in the employees, we tend to not hire somebody who's got the tremendous experience of management and project manager and this and that. We've had people who, want to do things, but necessarily don't have the experience that in the field. But they have the ability to one thing that they want to learn. And boom, then we all learn together and say, okay, how are we going to grow each other? So that I don't know, Basim, if I answered your question or not.
You did. I mean, it's you have to keep the end in mind, right? You have to understand that even there's immediate benefits that you think are benefits, they're really not. If you take the big picture in mind and you say, I'm going to be held accountable for this decision, and it's not going to bode well, with where I want to go. It's not gonna make it easy for me to go where I ultimately want to go. And I think it's important that that you mentioned helping others. Um, we help ourselves by helping others.
Absolutely.
We truly do, and this is one of the beauties of our deen, is that you cannot succeed by yourself, so you have to have a team, and the team can be successful if you help them. And this is a trait that I've noticed in our chamber meetings, where I ask people to sort of introduce themselves and then talk about why they're at the meeting. And mashallah, almost every single one of them then turns it around by themselves and say, this is how I want to help. This is what I can help with. I have experience in IT, or I have experience in marketing, or I have experience in this. And I'm here not only to learn, but also to help others. And I think that's ultimately the reason that we're, inshallah, going to all work together to make the chamber something that people can see as a place for Muslims to cooperate and to work together for the greater good, inshallah, while again helping themselves at the same time, alhamdulillah. Gonna take it a little bit in a different direction and talk about the challenges of raising funds in a Muslim environment. Because you have things like the Small Business Administration that allows you to apply for loans. They did like a huge program during COVID and things like that. That was pretty much out of our reach because of the interest that was associated with it. And I know you're in construction business, so you probably deal with a lot of people that maybe have to take a loan out to do some renovation and stuff like that. Similarly, this can apply to maybe college students and things like that. Do you have any insights, or how have you sort of navigated that field? And I'll have my own answer, but I'd love to hear your answer first.
I mean, in our, I know in the construction part of our business, Kamran and Javed run into that more than we would in the renovations area, because most of our renovations work is where people already, either they have already gotten the loan and they have the money cleared that they want to spend on their project. So we don't personally have run into that, but always has been where we know that we cannot borrow money for our own business running purposes. When your business partner keeps telling you that we cannot borrow money on interest, so we got to build up our cash flow in the ways where we're going to be able to sustain ourselves, and you continue to do that way, and that's a pretty challenging task in a small business, and it's very difficult to continue to work with that. But alhamdulillah, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provides different abilities, you just continue to grow. So you have to take very small bites in the initial ways where you can grow into where you are able to have that cash flow that, okay, you can sustain a project in much easier ways. So we have not run into where we had to borrow money, or we've run into where people have borrowed money from their sources. We have non-Muslims who have done that. So the only thing that we run into where their bank has to come and or send somebody to do the inspections. And once they pass the inspection, they get their money released and they pay us. So, we've done those things, but don't advise anybody that where they can get the loan from, because there are many venues out there for them, So I don't know if we've not run into that as much.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't. We're not going to give fatwas about where to go borrow monies and things like that right now. The chamber is trying to establish ways for entrepreneurs and investors to start to connect on a much more systemic way. It's probably in phase 2 or 3 of what we're going to do, because right now, if somebody does have a good idea or does have a plan to expand something, they almost have to go in front of every single person that they know or they've heard of that's an investor and go pitch them. And inshallah, one of the services that we hope to provide both to investors and to people with ideas to make those connections a lot easier and allow some sort of filtering or some sort of a central place at least where people can go in and see what's out there for investment opportunities and see what's out there for investors or to contact investors. But the way I've had to deal with it a few times is that you just have to postpone. You said you take smaller bites. Absolutely, right? You sort of say, I can't afford to do that right now. I'm just going to have to postpone, this expansion. I have to postpone that. And we live in a country where it's difficult to stick to that decision, because everybody has credit cards and everybody has access to loans and things like that. I remember growing up in Lebanon, there were no such things. And so you had to save to buy a refrigerator. You had to save to buy a car. You had to save, and I went to the Dominican Republic and we went through like homes that were half built. Speaking of construction, right? And you'd see like four walls and that's it. And I asked the driver and it's like, yeah, people don't have loans. So they save the whole year. They come out on the summertime and they build the next floor or they build the next wall. And so if you think about it, that's how actually we own the houses. Even if you take a loan, you're owning a small portion of that house and then slowly you own the rest of it. Over there, you can see how much you own right away. So again, it's important to keep that focus in mind. That's what I keep reminding myself all the time, whether it's personal decisions, business decisions, mosque decisions. It's really important to keep that long-term vision in mind, and being surrounded by people who don't see it the same way makes it a little bit more difficult for us that are running an Islamic business or an Islamically compliant business. All right. You spoke about your mom being Allah yarhama, as a motivation for you, and you spoke about the importance of not only saying that you're Muslim, but acting as Muslim. Have you can you think of any good examples to where you've used that as a way with non-Muslims to get them to change their mind about treating Muslims? We hear about people coming into the mosque and they're not Muslim because they've heard about Islam from college roommates, or they've heard about Islam from coworkers. And I think as entrepreneurs, there's also that opportunity. So you mentioned that you have a lot of non-Muslim clients now, mashallah. Is there anything a specific example that you can share that talks about, hey, this person, when we started with them, they were like this attitude, and then they slowly changed their mindset as we worked with them?
I don't recall, that any of, from the customer point of view, would have, because of the religious, because one of the things that we always, even when a Muslim customer walks into the office and they want us to do something, and we always are like, don't give us the business because we are Muslims. Give us the business if we have the ability to help you achieve your goals, in whatever ways that you feel comfortable with, then we are worthy of your business. Not because, just because you're Muslim, we might not come to your satisfaction, and then that doesn't do any good whether we're Muslims or not, because then actually even more worse. So I don't know, but there are, and that is more relationship build that Javed and Kamran have done in our business, that there are some Hindu customers, they on a regular basis, they would send us, at the beginning of Ramadan, they would send us a message of greeting us, happy Ramadan, and they feel about it that they know from these guys that, hey, these are Muslims, they practice it, and they showed me they, really built a good house for me. So you get them, and now I'm in that loop as well until they put me, greet them, the greetings. So there are few of them that they do it because they feel that you did a good job, and we appreciate you from that. And we appreciate your religion as well, because we see how you work. So I'm on a very personal level, I've kind of kept that very separate from the religious point of view, but I would always tell them that we are advising you to not do this or do this because we believe that it's not going to be good for you. And that's why I'm telling you, don't do it this way, but do it this way. So maybe not bringing the religion in that, but always in the back of my mind, because I'm thinking that if it was my house and if I was going to do something like this, I would not feel comfortable. I'm going to advise you against it as well. So I don't think that I have any specific example that I can think of where somebody would have felt better about Muslims. Allah knows where they may have, because they know we are Muslims, they see us. And when you introduce yourself, that my name is Amjad, and this is Zahid with me, and this is Jibril with me. So they kind of, put two and two together automatically. So no, I don't think that I know of, at least,
I think it happens without you necessarily being aware of it, right? So I think as we try to keep that moral compass on all the time, it's not just about us; it's about the customer as well. And so you do, try to show them the numbers, or you do try to give them the best advice that you can give them. You try to do the best work that you can do for them, and I think that comes across, even though you don't have to actually articulate it and say, I'm telling you this because, in my religion, they tell us don't lie. You just do it. And then, yeah, absolutely. I see what you're saying. All right. So I think we have several very interesting questions that Brother Daniel has been collecting. I'm going to ask him to maybe see if he can go ahead and start asking those questions. And then for everybody else, if you joined us late, talking to Brother Amjad Taufique about the importance of keeping spirituality in entrepreneurship. When you're running your own business, don't leave your Islam at home or at the mosque. Take it with you to the office. He's given us several examples of how himself and Brother Javed and Brother Kamran run their business. The importance of doing this for the next generation. The importance of surrounding yourself with a good team. The importance of helping each other, which is really the basis of the creation of the chamber. So with that, Brother Daniel, do you have any questions that you want to ask on behalf of the attendees?
Absolutely. We can go ahead and get started. So Brother Arshad Rizvi was asking, for people new to us, please also shed light on how you'd use tax dollars for Muslim charitable organizations and Muslim schools. Arshad Rizvi, if you're on the line, go ahead and unmute yourself. Maybe you can clarify that question if it's not clear.
Yeah, it's like what you have spoken is like, this is what I mean. So if he can clarify like how I can use my taxpayer money, because like I'm new to the US system. So I just want to know it so that I can help out my community.
So Arshad, it might be more of a accounting question, but as for a business, what we do, we in our budget have a charitable contributions category that we feel very comfortable with, that we should have throughout this 1 year. We should be spending this much in giving to the charitable causes. So those are 501c3 organizations, our masajids, our schools, our organizations, along with many non-Muslim organizations as well. Atlanta Community Food Bank, the hospitals that are running on a charitable contributions. So you put that in your budget and you do that. That comes out as a business expense, as far as I know. That on a personal level, yes, that comes out as a charitable expense, and that has to be a certain amount before you actually get the tax benefit from it. But from the business point of view, it is taken out from your business expenses and does not in the end of the day, it doesn't it gets subtracted off of your bottom line. So that's where it goes. But anybody in the accounting over here, maybe.
Yeah. So I think it's a little bit out of scope for our conversation today. But Brother Arshad, there are different ways that organizations classify themselves to become tax exempt, and that means that if you give them money as an individual, you can deduct that amount. Those are called 501c3 organizations, and most Islamic schools and most mosques fall in that category. My advice would be to go talk to the nearest mosque and start with them maybe, and then find out if they have a school or if they have something like that, and then go from there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next question. And this question comes from Brother Faisal. Question number one that he posed was, having supported the Palestinian cause, it has caused Muslim businesses to lose growth opportunities. How do you strike a balance to continue doing business and staying true to your values and morals in this society? I believe you might have addressed this, but go ahead and answer the question.
Faisal bhai, that's a very challenging thing because especially with what's happening in the Gaza, with the genocide happening, it's so frustrating at times that you want to kind of bring about certain things and you're feeling maybe I should not. My LinkedIn is all my business as well, and my social media is my business as well. But you always bring about that humanitarian aspect of it continuously because you want people to see that, you know, you are hurting because of that as well. And always keeping that balance that you don't blame everybody for that, what is happening, because many people may not ascribe to what our government may be participating in. And you put that always with a very respectful way because there are people out there who just like, oh yeah, no, I understand this shouldn't be happening. But it's a difficult task. I don't think that I'm even minutely successful in that area to continue to keep that balance because and hope Allah will forgive me for not speaking out as I should be speaking out.
Faisal, did you have anything else you wanted to add to that question, or is everything good? Okay. Okay, so the second question that he wanted to pose was, what challenges have you faced working with fellow Muslim business owners? How can we restore the trust amongst our own community to keep the money within the community itself? Probably is very similar to how the Jewish folk do it in New York City. So, Uncle Amjad, if you
Yeah,
could
we
go
get
ahead and
this
answer.
example constantly that, oh, look at the communities that the dollar travels around within their community 7 times before it walks out of the community. But the biggest thing is that, you know, before I had my business, we would, in the masjid, people would come and say, would you recommend somebody who can do this work for me or who can do this work for me? And you know, initially you end up recommending brothers, oh yeah, so-and-so brother does this. And then you get into the middle of this serious argument and you're like, wait a minute, I just recommended. And then you got to, you know, when I got into the business, I started to realize this more and more that my business should not come to me because I'm a Muslim. It should come to me because I'm doing what is right and the best way of doing things. So that's why Muslim businesses will have to prove themselves to be trusted by others. Unfortunately, that's a case where some of our folks do not provide the service that they would say that they would do it, but then, you know, you cannot recommend them. Just for on a very personal level, an example of one of our customers very recently, we ended up doing something that was just not right. And the immediate decision was not, oh, she's a Muslim sister, we got to take care of her properly. No, she's a customer who is unhappy with the work that was done. What are we going to do to fix that right now? Because that's not, we don't want to leave it in that way. And alhamdulillah, she, you know, after all said and done, she messaged, she said, alhamdulillah, I'm very happy. Thank you very much. You guys did what you were supposed to. So Muslim businesses will have to do that. You know, alhamdulillah, we have an opportunity in this country to conduct business honestly. And we can avail that, or we can, you know, make a mess out of that for ourselves. And I think, you know, inshallah, I hope and pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Allah continues me and my business partners to continue in that path, that we're going to do what is right and not cheat anybody or cut corners and things like that. And I hope that other Muslim businesses would do the same thing, inshallah, because it's very important that you recommend somebody, you know, in the accounting field, especially. I've seen where I referred a brother who's a CPA, and he called me and he said, I don't want to take this brother's business. I said, why? And he said, well, he's asking me to do things that are not right, and I'm not going to put my signature on something that I'm not comfortable with. And I hope that we are all be able to stand up in that way and say, you know what, this is not something that I want to take part in, or I'm going to do what I signed up for, inshallah, in the best ways.
Can I ask that question from a different angle? Have you had Muslims come to you expecting a discount because they are Muslim and say, come on, and how do you, it's something, I mean, I know it's a hot potato, but I think we all, the chamber would like to um, stop that practice, or at least reduce it and sort of say, hey, just because it's a Muslim brother, that doesn't give you the expectation of getting any special treatment. Just know that, they're going to treat you well as part of the Muslim values that they have. They're not going to gouge you. They're not like other, businesses that may try to take advantage of you, and you have to. So tell us maybe share a story or something like that.
That actually is, and you see the difference in the community of our young Muslim professionals, and compared to little older generations. Whether they be, to be honest, it doesn't matter which background they come from, Arab, Indian, Pakistani, African, doesn't matter. They are in that mode. So they are expecting that, oh, what kind of a discount that I'm going to get from you. And they may be doing this to other businesses also, not necessarily just because of the Muslim, but that's a habitual thing that I need to bargain. But young professionals, they not necessarily bargain at all, but they expect you to give them the best quality that you can give it to them. Do the job in the right ways, in the right time, in the right budget. So their expectations in that area, but they're not going to haggle with you on your cost price on that. One of the things that we implemented, and Javed, my partner, he was reading an article and he came to me and he said, you know what, we provide these estimates, but we're not telling them what is the percentage that we are making. And I said, you want me to put the percentage that we are making in our estimate for our customer to see? He said, trust me, so we started to put down things together and say, okay, how are we going to do that? So at the bottom of our estimate, we actually put our overhead and profit in there. And there's a line item there that says how much our company is actually going to be making. And it has happened that now people who are going through that estimate with us and they're seeing the line by line happening, and then they go down to that and they see that. So alhamdulillah, majority of the folks are, in a sense of, oh, I feel very comfortable that you're okay with telling me if on a project of $200,000 you are going to make $15,000, $18,000, $20,000. So now I know at least you are making this 15, 20, 25%, whatever. So I see that, and some people have appreciated that, actually doing that, because then it on the bargain table when it comes to that way. And I say, okay, this is what I'm making. Now you tell me whatever I can cut off from there, I'll do it. But please do understand that we have to make a living as well. So that reduces for us to not have that bargaining as much of an issue if you're, being open and transparent for your customers,
And it takes away the assumption that you're doubling the money, that you're
Yes,
making 100%
exactly.
profit or 200% profit or something like that. Yeah. Okay, Jazakumullah khair. That's a great suggestion.
Absolutely. Okay, so this is a question that actually I posed, which was, how do you develop a quality team that you can truly rely on, and how do you gauge that? Do you have a decision-making framework that you utilize for this? Do you utilize recruiters? Like, what's a good way that you figure out who the right person is for the team that you're potentially, or team member that you're potentially looking to hire?
SubhanAllah, we got, I would say, kind of lucky in a sense to bring on people on board. Didn't have to, we don't have any recruiters that we utilize. Um, I, the first project manager, so to speak, that we hired came from one of our subcontractors. He was working for him, and the subcontractor actually told Javed and said he's more of a office person than actually field person that he's with me. Why don't you? So we said, okay. So we interviewed with him and brought him in. And second person, she came in as a temp to help me because my admin was going to be out for almost a month on vacation overseas. And so we brought her in, and I saw the ability that, she's just not an admin person. She has the ability to learn and grow into other things. So we said, okay, do you want to transfer into this role once the admin is back? And she did, alhamdulillah, for past 4+ years, 5+ years almost, she's doing excellent. So we really don't, I on a personal level have a more of just a gauge, and my partners kind of help say, hey, yeah, looks like this person would be a good fit. Let's try them out. And so far, whoever we tried them out, they've stayed with us. They left on their own if they wanted to, because one of my, I remember having a meeting immediately when the pandemic hit, and first couple of weeks, so we sat down together and say, okay, how are we going to sustain ourselves? Because when you try to build that team up, and then all of a sudden pandemic and your business is not there and you have to break that team, and then it's going to take you again 2+ years to do the bring them back on and back on and build that team back again. Alhamdulillah, over the period of that time, the pandemic time, we did not lay off anybody. We did not had to let anybody go. We, alhamdulillah, continued our team and actually grew a little bit, and without having to go through, small business loans or anything. So we were able to sustain that. But there is no, I personally do not have a automatic answer on the how to judge people and bring them on board.
All right. Thank you for answering that question. Let's go
Brother
ahead and-
Danielle, we're right at 1 hour, or we're getting close to 1 hour. I see that we're starting to lose some people. So, in the questions that you have, do you think that there's one in particular that's really relevant? I see a lot of them that are more general in nature that I think we need to maybe wrap it up soon with maybe one last question.
All right, so I think the last question we could probably take is posed by Don Mahmoud. It was also answered in the chat, but since he's driving, I think it might make more sense to actually answer it live. When building a multi-million-dollar business, what would be an approach to avoid funding or to avoid funding resources that would have interest involved?
Can you repeat that, Daria?
The question again. So when building a multi-million-dollar business, what would be an approach to avoid funding resources that would have interest involved? Because you built your business organically, it was without any sort of loans or anything like that. Your business is in the multi-million or at least minimum 7-figure range. How did you, I guess, find funding sources to build it out? I believe you might have answered this, but if you could clarify.
Yeah, and I was actually, while you were talking, that I read Javed's comment over here that, we had several people who kind of, especially Javed and Kamran being in the business for much longer. And then we started the another wing, having the construction and the real estate business that was already going successfully. We started this remodeling business. So for them, it was really that once you had people who trusted you and kind of shared the funds to make a profitable business. So what they had done was kind of taking a project itself. Like, for example, there's a land available and somebody wants to build a house on it. So they got these investors who trusted them enough to say, you know what, we're going to put our funds together and then we're going to have a profit sharing. So you take that one, become a separate entity within that business. You provide the construction, they provide the funds, you come out and they benefit from the profits as well. So that kind of grew into where more people were benefiting from the business. And when you do a successful project, when you do it where it's, you build your reputation and your trust, then people are willing to put money with you and say, okay, you know what, let's go ahead and do this. Recently they do this a lot, especially in the new construction, where they're building projects for 3, 4, 5 homes, and people have come together and put money together and say, okay, we're going to provide the funding. And now, alhamdulillah, they're able to provide some funding of their own as well in the group, so they know they're well invested in the project itself. And then those who are part of that investment reap the benefits of that project as well. But in the renovation business, we have not really had to, as I said earlier, that you take smaller bites, take a project, that's all the funding is doing. So that's where you're gonna, and then you grow into the second one and the third one and the fourth one. But you got to make sure that you provide that service. That way people are bringing more projects to you. So our funding mainly comes from that. In the construction, they built the reputation, they've done the projects in a really nice projects where the profit was decent for people to invest in. So more are coming in investing in that way.
So I've noticed that a lot of the questions.
You clarified that.
Sorry, go ahead, Tom.
I was saying thank you for clarifying that. I appreciate it. I didn't get a chance to read the comments. I know you're running short on time, but there was one last question that I did add on there. I think that's more around the topic of spirituality and conducting business here. Danielle, after Brother Boston's comment, if you don't mind asking that, I think that would be important, especially nowadays with what's going on in the current environment.
You mean what is going on in the current environment and how it's like affecting the business?
No. So the actual question is this: Can you speak on any sort of occurrences of coming across discrimination because of being Muslim, and how did you handle that?
Well, to be honest with you, alhamdulillah, on a personal level, I did not. We've not had anybody who have in that mode where they would feel like that they don't want to do business with us, or because of the reasons of us being Muslims, or even supporting the actions of many of our brothers and sisters in the activism field. So didn't have that experience done by on a personal level. So I didn't feel that at all.
Alhamdulillah. Yeah, maybe this could be a good subject for its own lecture. So with that in mind, I would like to encourage everybody to drop suggestions in the chat about what a good next topic or good topic for our next series might be, or for next speaker might be. We have a couple that we have aligned, but they're not firmed up yet, and would love for people to let us know what their needs are. I've noticed that a lot of the questions that we received today are about funding and are about finances and things like that. So definitely we're gonna, if we're not able to answer your questions, we will save them and get you the answer from the right sources, inshallah. And again, like I said, please drop in or drop a note in the chat, talking about what other subjects that you would like us to tackle in this format. And once again, Brother Amjad, you've honored us with your presence. May Allah continue to bless you and your family, and may Allah continue to build your success in a way that pleases Him the most. And thank you for your support for the chamber, Danielle. Thank you for your support for the video magic. And with that, I'm just gonna thank everybody for attending. Hopefully, we're coming up to the middle of Ramadan, inshallah. The month, half of it gone, has already been a source of blessing for everyone, and may it continue to be so, inshallah.
I want to
Assalamu
just do
alaikum
a
wa rahmatullah.
little shameless plug-in over here for any
Yeah,
of the
please.
construction, remodeling, or renovations need for commercial or residential, contact me.
Inshallah. Yes,
Right.
definitely. All right. Assalamu alaikum, everyone.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Danielle, do the chats also get recorded? Captured?
I don't know actually. I'm gonna see if I can just go ahead and extract it just in case as a backup.
Yeah, I think you can save it somewhere.
I think it automatically saves, but I'm just gonna confirm real quick before I leave the session. Oh, there we go. Save chat.
Yeah.
Got it saved. So I also have the recording, inshallah, and
Sure.
can distribute that maybe a little bit later. But I think we should be good overall. This was good. It was not bad.
Alhamdulillah. Yeah.
First-
Alhamdulillah. How many people did we have on YouTube?
On YouTube, we had 7.